The US dollar put in a fresh low last week and broke a critical trend line, but does that make the US dollar bearish? That's what I'm answering in today's video. I've got a ton of details that are going to help you guys with your trading next week. So I've got the latest on the DXY, the euro, the pound, the Australian dollar. We're talking gold, silver, and also WTI, and the latest on Bitcoin. So my name is Justin Bennett, full-time trader and founder of Daily Price Action. As always, all of this is my opinion only and not financial advice. So looking at the DXY 4-hour time frame, we had a breakdown last week. So this is the trend line here off of the lows from back here in May that I've mentioned now several times in videos. So you can see off these lows, we had several touches along here, really nice looking trend line. We had a really nice pullback into this level also, and we even had a break above, okay, a bull flag that had formed. Okay, so we had the break above, we had the close below, you can see resistance right here. So now with the DXY breaking down, right, what are we looking at for next week? So this is obviously a breakout that did not work out with this break here. Again, we failed below it and now we've closed below this trend line. So short term, guys, the dollar is technically bearish. And also too, looking from just, purely SMC, you can see where we've taken out these lows now. So we have a break of structure down here. However, this is also where it's important to not get blindsided by what's happening on the higher time frames, because all of this right here on the 4-hour, even though we've had the market pulling back, okay, and giving us a fresh internal BOS last week and breaking this trend line, this right here doesn't change a single thing that is happening on the high time frames. So that's what's important to understand here, because if we go to a daily time frame, and even, in fact, let's go to a monthly, right? This monthly time frame coming off the lows here, we have the highest monthly close in 13 months last month, okay? So closing above these highs back here. And in fact, on a monthly closing basis, guys, what I'll say about this is that if we were to see the DXY starting to close below about 99.8, then that could be concerning, okay? So a long way to go before that, because right now the market is basically trading at 100.75. So a long way to go before this would be in trouble on a monthly closing basis. Now, obviously, there's a lot of time left in July. A lot could happen. But the bottom line here, guys, is that this is still a breakout candle, okay? And furthermore, too, if you go to a daily time frame and look at this, okay, the daily time frame still shows that change of character that we've talked about now for months. Okay, so the close above these highs, we had the BOS to the downside, making this the external high. Close above, change of character, BOS, right? So all in all, guys, we still have these higher highs and higher lows on the daily time frame. The break that we looked at on the 4-hour time frame does not change any of that. So if nothing else, for me at least, this just means that I get to potentially buy the US dollar lower. Now, one thing I'm watching here too, and before we get to exactly where I'm looking to potentially buy the US dollar next week, if you want to use the broker that I trust the most and also get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000 plus 50% deposit bonuses on future deposits up to $25,000, then check out the link right here on the screen. Below this video, you'll see the link to IC Markets. Also check out the description for that link. You can get those bonus offers. And if you deposit $10,000 or more into your account, I will grant you lifetime access to our Discord group. That also includes lifetime access to the full SMC course. And I'm in Discord every single day, coaching members, posting trade setups, and also sharing my trades live. Okay, so for the DXY, what I'm looking at next week is you can see here off of some of these highs and lows, we do have some really nice symmetry. And what I mean by symmetry is this. What you'll often find is that a market will move within a parallel channel. Okay, so simply put, you have the highs back here, you've got these lows, and you've got these highs over here. Okay, and what you'll notice is that the market tends to move, within a channel like this. Now, furthermore, too, you can see this as an example again off of these lows back here and these highs. Okay, so what I'm looking at for the DXY, you can see where this recent breakout. Okay, so if we move in here, you can see where these two highs right off of that upper level, right through here. Okay, we have a level right around 100, which is also a psychological level as well. And keep in mind that July closed above 100. Okay, so this area down here next week is going to be one to keep an eye on, in my opinion. Okay, not only do we have the top of this channel that we broke out from, we have the 100 psychological level. We also have several single prints back here in this area, which a single print is just a thinly traded level to where we could see that mitigated sometime next week. Okay, down here in this area. So I think if we were to get that from the US dollar, okay, so a bearish move down here into this area, followed by a change of character down here, that would be key, then we could get a bottom forming for the DXY. Now, if the DXY were to come down here and fail to hold above here and start taking out lows like this, right around 99.38, and also remember 99.8, that area on the monthly time frame will also be key. If we start taking out areas like this down here, then I think that's concerning for the US dollar. Okay. So really, if you're bullish on the US dollar, you want to see this area down here hold somewhere around 100. It could dip below that, but that's the general region that you want to see hold for the US dollar. Okay, so that's pretty simple for the DXY. And if we do get a bottom forming confirmation of that with a change of character down here, then my target remains the same up here around 103.7, that gap from 2025. Okay, so next up, let's take a look at the euro. And guys, if you want to see exactly how I trade SMC full time, then check out the link right here on the screen. That is going to be a free SMC strategy. It's the same strategy that I use every single week to trade full time. So you should see a link somewhere below this video. If you don't see it there, check out the description of the video. Okay, so the euro, guys, is just completely sideways. I mean, this market really hasn't gone much of anywhere in July here. It's really just been range bound price action. And ultimately, when you look at this, even on a 1 hour time frame, if you look here, the last time we talked about it, we said, okay, well, we've got this internal BOS back here, right? We've got the protected low down here. And really, that has not changed simply because the euro did not take out this high over here. Okay, so this high up here, we did not close above it in this area. Okay, so that means that the protected low is still this one, right? It's still this area down here. So until this is the case, in my opinion, there's really not much to do here. This is the kind of stuff that I adamantly try to avoid just because it's so easy to get chopped up in this kind of price action. SMC works best, guys, in trending markets. When you get a market that just goes sideways like this for weeks, it's really just unfavorable conditions, to say the least. So for me, guys, this is going to be the low down here, this low right here. All right, so if I actually mark this out so you guys can see what that level is. All right, so remove this and place a level across here off of this low. This is going to be the protected low. So 113.62, that's going to be the level to watch. Okay, so as long as we're above this level, then really we could get the euro moving higher up here into this inefficiency. And that could also be the case too if we look at the DXY and note where this level comes in down here. Like I said, if we see the DXY down here into 100, okay, that right there could provide some more relief for the euro, considering the euro is the heaviest weighted currency within the DXY basket. Okay, so really for the euro, we still have higher highs and higher lows internally, although longer term, nothing has changed. Okay, everything I've talked about before is still the same on the daily time frame. You can see we have the bearish change of character back here. We also now have a BOS. This right here tells us that sellers remain in control regardless of what happens internally. Okay, I want to be clear about that these are higher highs and higher lows internally, but externally, as far as the broader trend, it does remain bearish. Okay, so as always, like with the DXY, I will be watching to see what kind of price action we get. If we get higher highs into areas like this back here, right, off of these lows, then I will be looking for some type of change of character up here to potentially get short right around 115, but that confirmation is what's going to be critical. Okay, so on to the pound here, GBPUSD. Now, this is one that is a little bit more interesting. And just bear with me here for a second, okay? Because what this comes down to is that you have trends within trends. You have external price action and internal, and it's all relative. So when we look at this on a 4-hour time frame, what we have here is we had a BOS over here. Okay, so we had the break below here, making this the protected high, which we obviously took out last week. Now, at the same time, though, we also have this larger BOS down here. Okay, so the close below, making this level up here another protected high, this one way up here. Okay, so what you'll notice is that basically from this high down here to the low internally, this was OTE that we talked about. And you can also see where this high up here, down here to the low, this is our broader range, where we're in basically OTE right now. Now, as I said, if the DXY is going to move down and test 100, then we're probably going to see the pound, rally a bit further. We could take out this high next week, but ultimately I'm still looking for shorts here simply because even though we're seeing this relief, like I said, you've got this broader trend, right? So if we look at this here, you've got this high back here, you've got this one, and now you've got these lows. And this was a bearish break of structure, okay? So I'm still looking for shorts. However, at the moment, I don't really see a lot to do with the market just in rally mode. Okay, so I want to see that signal. However, I also want to see the DXY move down here and potentially test this area around 100 next week. All right, and you can also see furthermore too, the top of this channel right here, this is exactly where we bounced last week. Resistance here, we closed above and new support, okay? So guys, for me, again, I'm still looking for shorts. However, I want to see the DXY into 100 first, and the pound would have to set up with some type of signal up here for me to get short this market. Okay, so moving on to the Australian dollar. What we talked about in the last video was this single print up here. So just below 70. And what you'll notice is that we did tag this. Okay, so we tagged the single print, we mitigated this area. So we can now take this off. Okay, we've come up here, we've mitigated the inefficiency back here. And now it's just a matter of looking for a change of character, which unfortunately, if you're looking at the 1 hour time frame, there's really not a lot to do. Even if you were to use this high up here, which, I mean, look, this pullback right here is very, very shallow. Okay, this is always risky. Whenever you have a BOS like this, you're marking off a BOS, and then you get a very shallow pullback and this inefficiency down here. This is always a bit risky, okay, to try to look for a change of character below here. But even if you do that, okay, at the moment, there's really not much to do, simply because if you look at this low right back here, we have not closed below it, okay? So notice how we didn't close below. So technically, even off of this low, there's really no change of character to speak of. Now, at the same time, though, you also have the market coming into some resistance here. So notice how we have it coming into the top of this channel. And this is also really interesting for the Australian dollar. So you got the highs back here and you've got these lows. Now, the Australian dollar has held up pretty strong relative to other currency pairs, and that's mostly because of the strength from US stocks. However, we started to see US stocks rotate lower last week. That could spill over into something like the Australian dollar. All right, so, same rules apply, guys. Looking for a change of character over here. For me, I don't see anything immediately available from this market. And, that's just the way it goes, guys. I mean, sometimes a market will be favorable, other times it won't be. When you look at this here, we do have the market still kind of moving within what could be a bear flag. Okay, but I don't really love looking for shorts here based on this just because of the price action recently. So for me, guys, the same rules apply, right? Looking for shorts, but I'm not convinced yet that this is going to be the top, especially with, like I said, with the DXY, if we are going to see 100 down here into this inefficiency, this candle back here, if we're going to see this down here next week, then there's no sense in me shorting the Australian dollar or any major currency pair like the euro, the pound, or the Australian dollar until we see the US dollar down here, right? No guarantees of that, but that would be ideal in my opinion. Okay, so let's now take a look here at gold XAUUSD, which the downtrend is still intact. There's no question about that. Looking at the daily time frame, you can see we are just seeing lower highs and lower lows. That's been the case basically all year. Okay, so that's first and foremost. There's nothing here on the chart to make me think that the bottom is in yet, at least structurally speaking. Now, with that said though, we have the BOS back here, and we also have this trend line. So when we think about this in terms of structure, right, from this high down here to the low, you can see where we have OTE coming in above basically this high over here and this high. So what I think we could get if we see the US dollar rotate lower next week and the DXY test this area around 100, then that could, okay, potentially trigger some weakness here for gold. And we could get a break of this trend line. Okay, we could get the market actually bottoming down here and giving us some relief up here toward this area where everybody gets bullish. And then we still technically have a downtrend. Because keep in mind, a lot of people would look at this and say, well, if we take out this high, we have a change of character. That's not true because so far this low right here has not taken out this one. Okay, so we can't say that a close above here would be bullish. Okay, we could just see the market take out this trend line up here, come up here toward OTE, and then continue the downtrend. So for me right now on gold, if I'm going to short this market based on this BOS back here, I've got to wait for the market to get essentially above these highs. Like I want to see the market get up here, take out these highs, sweep these highs, and then give me a change of character somewhere up here. All right. I think that would be ideal from a shorting standpoint. Whether we get it or not, we will have to wait and see because gold has just been beaten down all year. All right. Silver, pretty much the same concept, guys. We have the market. If we look here on the daily, you can see where we are coming into these 54 highs from back here in 2025. We've talked about this for a while now. And if we go to a 4-hour time frame, what you'll notice is that we have the market giving us a fresh break of structure. Okay, so we did take out this low back here. We closed below. That gives us a new BOS for next week. Now, from that point, what we can do here is the same thing. From this high up here, we drag out our fibs to find premium. And you can see that it comes in above this area right here, this pivot. So basically what I'm looking for next week from silver is if we were to, let's go to a daily time frame and take a look at this. Okay, so look at this here. This is really interesting, 61.64. This was support back here for silver, right? Now on the way up, you would have expected this to be resistance, and it was initially, and then we got the close above. Okay, so we closed above over here, and then we closed right back below. Now, what's interesting about this though, is that on the close below, we never had a retest. We never got the market closing here and then giving us a retest of 61.64 and then selling off. Instead, what you'll notice is that the very next high fell just shy of testing that right here. So for me, guys, what I think would be really interesting is that if we were to get US dollar weakness, then possibly we get some relief here from silver, okay, up here into this region around 61. And then from there, looking for a change of character to get short back here toward the lows, okay? Because I think that longer term, when you look at this on, let's say, a 12-month time frame, so every candle is 1 year, and we go out here to a log chart, you can see where this level down here that we've talked about, okay? So this one right around $48, this is going to be, in my opinion, the level where if silver is going anywhere on this chart, it's going to be, likely down here. I think that this probably serves as a magnet for silver, given the velocity of this breakout that we had back here over the last couple of years. So this is one that for me, I would keep a very close eye on. All right, so looking lower for silver. However, like I said, I do want to see some relief here from these markets if I'm going to look for shorts. So next up, we have US oil WTI, and this is one, guys. If you saw those videos, this one has played out so well. This was the level that we talked about ever since WTI was back here in this area, approaching this level. I mentioned how 66.7 was the level I was watching to buy this market because this was basically the inception of this rally back here. Okay, so I wanted to see this entire move mitigated, which we saw right here. Now this was off by 30 cents, that's it. And since that time, you can see where WTI is essentially from this low right here up here to current levels. It's currently up 22%. So just an incredible move from WTI off the lows. And what you'll notice is that on the 4-hour time frame, we had a couple things happen here. First of all, this back here was the channel I talked about. Okay, so I said if we break above the top of this channel following the retest down here, this was likely the bottom for WTI. Another factor was also this change of character. So notice here we had the BOS, the downside, making this the protected high. Change of character above, we had the higher low form. Okay, so really nice stuff here from WTI. If you took this, and really my target remains the same. I have no reason to suspect that we won't see this area between 88 and 90, just because, like I said before, what you often get, just like we had. So check this out. Just like we had WTI mitigating this entire move back here, this displacement, we had the market mitigating this entire move. Now look at the displacement that occurred back here, the bearish displacement that occurred up here around 90. Okay, we had this candle was the start. So just like we came back to mitigate that entire breakout from back here in March, we are likely, in my opinion, to see this area completely mitigated as well following this move lower. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for from WTI. No change with that so far. I have no reason based on this current price action to suspect otherwise. In fact, even here on Friday, we are getting the market carving out a new high. Okay, so the bullish trend remains intact within this channel. Now, could we see higher than this? Of course, right? We could just move up here and test the top of this channel as well. But I think in terms of a more conservative target, this area around 88.90 does make a lot of sense. Okay, so let's wrap up with Bitcoin here, looking at the 12-hour time frame. So what I want to cover with BTC is the fact that the market is sideways right now. But I also want to talk about liquidity because this is a really important concept regardless of what market you're trading. However, with Bitcoin, it is incredibly obvious when the market does this. So what you'll notice is that back here off of these lows, right, we had the market basically find resistance here through this price action. And then you'll notice that we reclaimed it, okay, over here. Once we reclaimed it, we had the market move higher. Now, in terms of liquidity, we had liquidity below these lows back here, and you can see that this was swept, okay? Now, over here, you can see we have this kind of smaller range within this larger range, okay? Now, this smaller range, we did see Bitcoin actually sweep the liquidity above these highs last week, okay? And so the question that I have now is, will this right here, will this sweep lead to a sweep of the next most obvious liquidity on the chart, which is below these lows, these higher lows? So one thing that I'm looking at for BTC that we could get, with could being in all caps, right? We don't know where this market's going to go, or any market. But if we do see the move down here below these lows over the coming days, then in my opinion, that could just be a liquidity sweep down here into this imbalance following the reclaim of it back here in early July. And then from there, guys, if you look at this in terms of a larger range, okay, so basically this is your range that we're currently dealing with. Okay, so following the reclaim back here, this is your range. I mean, obviously you could make it this range here, but in terms of the reclaim, this is it, right? So if, again, we see the market down here, in my opinion, that's likely a liquidity sweep for the push higher up here toward these highs, because one thing you'll notice is that this high right back here, we did not take it out on this high, okay? So I do think in terms of liquidity, like we talked about, right? We swept the high back here, we swept these lows over here. So now you've got this pocket up here around 67, plus you have the 2021 high around 69K. You've got a single print up here at 68,690. Okay. So there is liquidity up here in this region that the market could come up here and tap before we see lower for BTC and a drop back within this range. Now, it is looking pretty bullish here on Friday, especially considering the stock market is rotating lower and BTC is holding up really well. So here's the thing for BTC, if we look at this on the 12-hour and we take a look, I'm going to remove this box here just to kind of clean it up a little bit. But if we look at these highs right back here, what I would say about this chart right now is really, this is kind of the line in the sand, like 64,700. If we see Bitcoin back above here, okay, so getting back above here on the higher time frames, then in my opinion, that's the cue for the push up here towards 67. If we can't though, if Bitcoin just stays within this and breaks below levels like this here, then in my opinion, that's the push down here towards 61 to grab that liquidity first before we move higher. Okay, but this is a range bound market, guys, until proven otherwise. As always, I will be sure to discuss this in Discord in real time with members to share exactly what I'm seeing on the chart, because this is going to be one of those situations where, I'm talking about we could, push down here toward liquidity or up here toward liquidity. It's all going to depend on what the chart shows over the coming days. And that will determine what is the most likely scenario for BTC in July as we push into August. As always, if you found this helpful, keep it locked into the channel, subscribe, and also check out that free SMC training right here on the screen. Until next time, enjoy your weekend, and I will talk to you again next week.